Okay guys, so if you watched the first video of the vocal warm-up, we talked a little bit about range and what that means. So that is your voice's highest to your lowest note that you're comfortable singing. Now, some people's range will change over the years as you get older. Your voice will change. So, for example, my voice range is very comfortable in the alto range, which is what that A stands for right there. And the alto range is not the highest voice, but typically it could be female voices or younger male voices. So as your voice changes, if you are a boy, typically tenor or bass might be what your voice changes to as you get older, more like in high school or an adult. So we have soprano, alto, tenor, bass. So that's high to low. So what we're going to do is we are going to listen to some different clips of solo singing. So these are just one person singing. There's different styles. There's opera. There is kind of like a pop Latin type of song. So we're going to just listen to little clips of each one, and you guys are going to decide which voice part you think that it is. If it's soprano, alto, tenor, or bass. And remember, that's the highest to lowest. So this first one is from an opera called Carmen, which is actually the only opera I've seen live in person, and it was awesome. So here's our first one. So let's decide what voice we think this is. So first, kind of decide if you think it's on the higher or the lower range. It's a man's voice. So that means he's probably going to have a lower voice. That would mean it would be either tenor or bass. What do we think? If you said bass, you're correct. Very nice. So we're going to move on to the next one. This is another opera called The Magic Flute by a man named Mozart. You may have heard of him. The Queen of the Night aria. An aria is a word for a solo in an opera. And we're going to listen to this aria and decide which voice it is. Now, we've already done bass, so it's probably going to be soprano, alto, or tenor. And even if you haven't seen this opera, you probably know this song. So you probably already decided that's a pretty high voice. It's a woman's voice. And I can't imagine a voice being much higher than that. That means that voice is a soprano. If you said soprano, very nice job. So we've heard the high and the low end. Let's move on to the next one. This is a monk chant. If you've ever seen a monk, these are very religious people who wear the long brown capes and hoods, and they are very serene and focused, and they are deep in prayer and meditation. So we're going to listen to this monk chant, decide which range we think this is. Now we do have some lower voices that are kind of holding out a long note at the bottom. But that moving melody on the top. And these are men's voices. We've already said bass earlier. So they are kind of moving up in the higher part of their voices. So most likely if you said tenor, T for tenor, you are correct. Very nice. And last but not least, I know we only have one left, but let's give it a listen. This one is Latin Nights. This is kind of a poppier style of singing. So most likely you've guessed this is an alto. All right. So those are the 4 voice ranges. And last but not least, we have one more. Let's just see if you guys can figure it out. This is by a composer named Handel. And I'm pretty sure you've all heard this. This is the Hallelujah Chorus. All right, so that was a trick question. Sorry, guys, I had to do it to you. That was actually a combination of soprano, alto, tenor, and bass. So that would be at least 4 parts of harmony. So we can blend all of those voice parts together and make something really beautiful. So that's just a little intro on voice range, and hopefully once we get back to school, we can explore your range even more. But in the meantime, you guys can use the warm-up we did earlier and practice stretching out that range. See you guys soon.